Amazon preps its website for tablet launch, scan documents on your iPhone for free, an Apple employee in an iPhone 5 walk into a bar. Wait, I've heard this one before. And Hipstamatic photo tips from iPhone photography expert Doc Pop today on App Judgment.
This episode of App Judgment is brought to you by T-Mobile.
Welcome to App Judgment, your source for mobile application news and reviews. I'm Anthony Carboni.
And I'm Mauricio Balvanera, and you have a new show.
I do.
On this here Revision 3.
Oh, my stars, do I ever. I have a new video game review show.
Cool.
It's called New Challenger. It's on every Thursday.
Tell me about it.
Oh, man. It's so good, Mal. So basically what I do is I review a game, and then I have a guest on to review my review.
Meta.
So
That's
meta.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, but I mean, one of the things that I've noticed is the first reaction any of us have when anything's reviewed. We review stuff all the time here. The first reaction anybody has is to let you know what you missed, right? Because you're gonna miss something.
Totally.
That's just being human. You miss things. So having somebody else on to kind of give a counterpoint and really kind of flesh out the argument and really give you a second perspective on a game, I think is super useful.
That's a pretty cool concept.
Yeah.
So you started with Deus Ex. You just did an episode about
body count.
Body count.
And then next week we're gonna have Tara Long on from Destructoid, and we're gonna talk about Dead Island.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, man.
Awesome.
I'm stoked.
Cool.
Thanks for asking, Mal.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So nice of you.
Just curious.
Goodness. Meanwhile, back on this show, I'll be chatting with phone photography expert Doc Pop later about how to bend Hipstamatic to your creative will.
But first, the top news stories you clicked on over at twitter.com/appjudgment. Follow us there and subscribe to us here. So first up, Amazon.com is testing a slick new site design potentially perfect for tablets.
This is cool.
Yeah.
I like this.
I do.
I want to open up the Amazon app on my tablet, but I'm a Prime member, and you can't sort Prime items, or you couldn't when I downloaded the app.
Which is a big deal for me, because I'm also a Prime member, and that's the first thing I go to after each search.
Yep.
And this whole site design thing, I kind of just want that to be the site design for the website too.
Yeah,
it's
just
nice. It's clean.
The normal Amazon menu is comprised of 57 other sub-menus, each more intricate than the last.
Right.
I looked for a 25-foot extension cable. Like, I needed an extension cable for my house.
Right.
It was impossible to find.
Yeah. Well, the bigger deal here is that Amazon is potentially coming out with an Android Power tablet.
Okay.
And the idea is that they might do this as a loss leader because of the back-end potential to sell stuff through Amazon if there's a tablet there, which is
interesting.
Pretty cool. I don't know. I mean, we saw the success of the HP touchpad selling for 99 bucks. Oh, poor HP. So
pour one out.
Yeah, but if there's a cheap Amazon tablet out there,
I'd pick it up. I mean, that's how we all have e-readers now, right?
Right.
So I figure maybe this is the thing for Android tablets, because Lord knows they're not catching on as much as everybody would like.
So would you buy one?
I would have to see it.
Yeah.
I would have to see it. And it would also have to be potentially a newer version of Android than the one that's out there.
Yes. Not honeycomb.
Not ice cream, because that's what is the next tablet-specific one?
Actually,
they're merging them.
Yeah, they're merging it, exactly.
So ice cream is what I want.
Okay.
All the time, on my tablet and in my belly.
You said it here.
Done. Next up, Apple lost an iPhone 5 prototype in a San Francisco tequila lounge back in July.
That sounds really familiar.
Yeah, I've lost a lot of things in a tequila lounge.
Yeah.
And Apple's lost a lot of iPhones in bars.
So it's interesting. I guess Apple called the police. They called mom to tattletale on the bar, and so apparently they found the phone in Brunel Heights. It's
in some guy's house.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Nope,
don't have it.
Never heard of it." And then they went in and searched, and it was not there.
It was not there.
So
it's out there somewhere in Brunel Heights.
What is their like employee scanning process here? Like what do you have to? You have to be an alcoholic? Do you have to be like a loss inclined alcoholic to work for Apple? Is that what's going on?
Apparently, it's wicked. I mean, the
give out fewer prototypes.
Yeah,
Apple.
they must have some sort of protocol to deal with this kind of issue at this point. I mean, maybe they're just going to be doing less beta testing out in the field.
There is a protocol, and that's why it just says an Apple employee, because they do not exist anymore.
That's true.
They have now been wiped off the face of the earth.
Oh well. And finally, Genius Scan Plus for iOS is now free. This is a big deal. It's not that big of a story, but you guys actually clicked on this about 3 times more often than any other story, including the lost iPhone story. I guess you guys are just interested in scanners.
Okay, so what is Genius Scan Plus?
So what it does is you can take a picture of any document, anything you've written. I guess they want you to focus on documents. You could use it for whatever you want.
Okay.
You do cropping on the page to, if you took a picture of the document at an angle, you straighten it back out, and then it optimizes it for a PDF file, and you can then email that PDF file to people.
Okay.
Now David Prager actually did a review of Scanner a while back, a little over a year ago. It was $25, and he liked it, but wasn't worth the $25, so he called it a download.
Okay.
Now
so
that
this
it's
is
free.
now what kind of PDF is this making? Is this making like a PDF where the text is an image embedded in the PDF? Is this actually converting the text to text? What is it doing?
Just one PDF file, non-editable text. Although I have imported PDF files into Evernote, and Evernote has OCR technology in there, and it was able to extract it. But I think because Evernote's doing its own process to that file. But this is just, it's essentially just an image.
So this is not like, the first thing that I think of when I think of a free PDF scanner is I'm like, oh, I'll write some notes down, I'll take a picture of it, boom, it's a text document.
Right.
That's the one thing that I can think of where I'd be like, oh, this is useful.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, but that's not what this does.
That's not what it does.
So what are you using it for?
I don't know. Just messing around, I guess. I take pictures of receipts sometimes, feed it to Evernote. I take pictures of
But what's the difference
whiteboards.
between feeding Evernote a PDF and a JPEG?
Evernote only reads text off of a PDF. It won't do it off a JPEG.
Okay, so I get it.
I think.
What are you guys using it for?
Yeah.
I would like to know what people are using this thing for, because it sounds neat, but I just can't figure out how it's going to fit into my day. Let me know how you're using it.
Tell us why you clicked on it.
Yeah, please do. Coming up later on, iPhoneographer Doc Pop and I will be chatting Hipstamatic tips and tricks.
But first, let's get social with Annie.
Oh boy, let's!
Oh boy!
Yay. Hey guys, it's Annie, and time for another trip out of the studio into my filthy cubicle. Earlier this week, we asked a very important question for those of you using Android. What is the best app for downloading full songs? On YouTube, Justin recommends checking out Last.fm, pointing out that it lets you download full songs and even full albums sometimes, and that somehow it is ad-free. Last.fm is sort of a chart/recommendation engine, but if you're looking for an app to primarily download full songs, our producer Mao recommends MP3 Music Download Pro. MP3 Download Pro lets you search and download music, manage your music and create ringtones, and multi-thread downloading. You can download 3 songs at the same time, great for us ADD downloaders. If you have a better idea, get in touch on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, all 3 at AppJudgment. See you there, we'll be cruising the posts. This episode of AppJudgment is brought to you by T-Mobile. Create your own personal hotspot on the go with T-Mobile 4G Mobile Hotspot. Share high-speed internet with up to 5 Wi-Fi devices. That includes iPad or Android-powered tablets, laptops, iPod Touches, portable gaming devices, cameras, and more. With a 4G mobile hotspot from T-Mobile, you can share the power of America's largest 4G network. 4G capable for blazing fast speeds on America's largest 4G network.
On to the Snap Judgments. For the past couple days, Mauricio took a look at Contre Jour for iOS, a gorgeous puzzler that borrows its visuals from Limbo, its tone from World of Goo, and its game mechanics from Cut the Rope. This is the Voltron of mobile gaming. He says download. Michael Hand took a look at Doodle Assault for Android, a complex and addictive space shooter disguised as a lo-fi game, and he says download. And here in the studio with us today is a man who's been featured in the New York Times for his photography experiments. He's nominated for Best Instagram Account in the SF Weekly. He's scheduled to speak at the downtown SF Apple Store tonight. And we knew him before he was cool. The talented Dr. Popular.
Hey, how's it going, Nathan?
Good, man. So you are, you're gonna show us some tips and tricks with your favorite camera app.
My new favorite camera app.
Okay.
Hipstamatic was one of those apps that before I was even really taking iPhone photography, you'd see this like tons of photos with this vintage effects, and it was the very thing I kind of didn't like about retro fake photography. But I've actually found some things that have made me love Hipstamatic. It's totally my favorite app now.
Okay, what prompted the change? Give me one of these tips.
Well, one of the big things is when you're first looking through Hipstamatic in your viewfinder, you've got this this simulated analog effect where they kind of move it around a little bit to kind of give you the idea of like you don't really know what you're shooting at. With like an old camera, you kind of had an idea, but you didn't have this precision frame.
Right. That's actually one of the things that made me stop using Hipstamatic regularly, is because I know that it's trying to be an old camera, but at the same time, I want to know what I'm taking a picture of.
It's hard to let go of that. And luckily, there's a mode in settings where you can go through and put it onto precision viewfinder.
Okay.
So it comes with standard or classic, and you just put it into precision, and finally you'll be able to see exactly what you're shooting at. Now, I will say, I've actually gone out a couple times with classic mode and decided to just let go and be free, and I was actually really stoked about some of the surprises I had.
Okay.
But for the most part, you don't want to have like the shot you lined up, like this bus going down or a skater, and you take the shot and you check it later and you see that everything's just totally off. So that's the big thing that helped me.
So this is in the settings in the app, or
it's in global settings.
Global settings. So you actually go into the settings app for your phone, and then go into Hipstamatic there.
And that's about the only thing that you'll need to do in the global settings.
Okay.
Something that normally would be in the global settings is your high definition shot.
Yes.
Which is obviously very important. But they actually put pretty much everything else you need, including high definition, just in the app. In the lower right hand corner, there's the ability to be able to change the face of the camera.
Right.
So you change to the front where you're looking at the lens, and just make sure that that it's set to the big dot. It doesn't even have writing on it saying what it is, but if it's the tiny dot, that's low res. Big dot means high res, longer processing.
And that's another thing, because the interface of Hipstamatic is so ornamental and so just about kind of looking as much like an old camera as possible, I think a lot of people don't even think to touch that part.
Yeah.
You know, you just think it's that part that's next to the lens. You think it's part of the actual face of the camera. So that's cool to know.
I touched it by accident. I remember that. Like I was trying to change the lens, and I was like, oh. And I think at that point I was shooting in low res, which is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And I think it probably comes in high res, but I don't know.
Okay. And so then, if you're somebody who also likes things like Instagram and stuff like that, you enjoy the instantaneousness of it, because some people I know are not so into the processing time of Hipstamatic. I guess the tip for them would be that you could do it the opposite direction. You
could do it smaller. The whole purpose of having the adjustable thing is that you can make it easier to email the files or to quicker to process. But eventually there's going to be this point where you have a photo that you love, and you can't go back and make it higher res.
Right.
So I never recommend to anybody.
You can always shrink a photo down, but you can't blow it up.
Absolutely.
Okay, gotcha.
Now, speaking of blowing up, the other thing that really made me fall in love with Hipstamatic is the double tap viewfinder mode. So usually viewfinder is about 1/8 of the screen, but if you double tap, you get this nice big screen.
That's great.
That's really handy.
I like that.
What's also really cool about that too is you can be more subtle. You can actually touch anywhere on the screen and take a shot. So like lately I've just been doing all these kind of sniping is what they call it, but you know, things where you just have the screen in full screen mode and you just tap it once and you kind of know you got a good shot.
Yeah, getting that like street photography where people don't know. They don't become self-conscious because they don't know that you have your camera on them.
Yeah.
That's also nice because I feel like people can feel restricted by that small viewfinder in Hipstamatic, especially when they're so used to cell phone cameras and digital cameras now that it's all about giant touchscreen viewfinder.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird to go back to that tiny, what am I exactly looking at? What am I taking a picture of kind of viewfinder? So that's neat to know.
Now, one of the things I also just recently discovered is when you double tap and you're in classic mode where the viewfinder moves around, it actually shows you precision mode. And since I usually shoot in this large mode, I think I might actually try to embrace this. I might try to shoot with the random small mode, but if I ever need a shot, like I need that shot to be lined up, if I double tap, I know that what I see on the screen is exactly what's going to happen in the shot.
Yeah, that's really cool because then that gives you the versatility of both without having to go into your settings. Kind of awesome.
Now, one of my favorite other things about Hipstamatic is being able to match settings from previous shots. What Hipstamatic really encourages you to do is shake your camera and try to change your lenses and everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But what's really cool is if you just tap and look at your previous shots, you'll be able to see this black and white combination I don't like or whatever. But what's really nice is when you're actually in a venue, like maybe you were outside and now you're going into like kind of a dark bar, you can go back and see some of the previous shots you took in bars and be like, oh, this combination really worked. So you just pick a photo that you like, hit the match settings, and it'll just match the settings for you.
Oh,
so
that's nice.
Yeah, they don't have preset kits. But this is basically the best thing. It kind of lets you kind of create your own little filters and then kind of recycle them or let the good ones bubble up because you keep matching them.
The only downside I would see with that is if you keep your prints in like the print area that Hipstamatic provides for you without deleting them, that can stack up pretty quickly, I'd imagine.
It is. It's actually kind of one of the things I don't love about Hipstamatic is that I've got these multiple copies, and I always forget that I have maybe 500 or 1,000 shots in Hipstamatic.
And you're like looking for the settings from one, and you're like,
And I'm never going to use them again other than for settings.
Right.
I mean, maybe what I have left are probably my favorite like 20 shots I've ever shot with Hipstamatic, which is kind of cool, and it'll make it more easy for me to be able to find those combinations.
Gotcha.
Now, the one final tip is if there's things that you find are popping up when you shake your camera that you don't like combinations of film or lens, you can actually go back into the forward-facing mode where you see the lenses, tap the lower left-hand corner where the film is, and you've got an edit button. If you click on that edit button, you can actually go through and turn off random on certain things. You can also reorganize stuff too. So I actually have my favorite 5 rolls of film up near the top, and then the ones that I never want to delete film, but I have it off, and so I can always come back if I change my mind later. But if I shake my phone or if something happens, I'm not going to randomly end up in some jelly film.
That's so cool because the other weekend I was at like a concert event. I was at Outside Lands here, and I had to take I was taking like 8 pictures of everything and shaking and taking another picture and shaking and taking another picture. And I was like, none of these are turning out. And by then, like the people had moved, the artist was off stage. So it's cool to know that you can actually pare those options down and like organize them.
Absolutely.
Very cool, man. This stuff is great. And you know, for somebody like me who I think maybe had moved on from Hipstamatic thinking that there were just too many quirks to deal with, you have definitely given me a way to deal with the quirks. So awesome. Doc, thanks so much for being here. In addition to being famous on the lecture circuit these days, Doc is also the community manager for Sincerely. You can download their apps Postagram and Pop Booth on the iOS App Store. Let us know your Hipstamatic tips and tricks and send us some of your Hipstamatic photos on Twitter and Facebook. We'll feature them next week on the show. We'll see you then.